Saw this.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, crazy.
Short walk, short walk.
Call to order the Public Works and Utility Committee. At the Village of Lisbon Hall Boardroom on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Moonen,
Present.
trustee Beal. Here. Committee member Miller. Here. Committee member Everly,
Here.
committee member Plus,
Here.
engineer Neitzel,
Here.
administrator Green,
Present.
DPW director Wilakowski,
Here.
and clerk Pazaketch to record the minutes.
Stand for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens' comments, in-person check. Nobody's in the gallery, online,
No one on Zoom.
no one on Zoom. Approval of the meeting minutes, 12/18/2024. They're in your packet. Any questions?
I do have a comment. There is a reference to the MMSD interceptor, and I think that's supposed to be Lannon interceptor. Unless I'm not remembering correctly.
What page are you on, Jane?
I don't remember.
Be the second page.
Yeah, it's down
Under
here.
Mike Sargent. Towards the
Right
bottom.
here.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That
yeah,
should be
got it.
landed, right?
Good catch.
Any other observations?
Ah, you're good.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Otherwise, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve with that change from MSSD to Lannon.
Approval of change noted. A second. I'll second. Second by Mr. Everly. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Departmental reports, Department of Public Works, DPW Director.
So the highway department, we worked on helping Sussex, hang their Christmas tree and move it for them. Some just winter stuff for snow fence, plow markers, truck repairs. The guys had a pretty extensive repair for truck 17. They, found out the ECM was roasted, so, we did an ECM swap on that and had to do some gasket, PTO gasket on truck 18. A lot of tree cutting. We did a bunch around the village hall here. And we rented a drum mulcher to do a bunch of grinding and everything. So it kind of saves on a lot of the handwork for just the buckthorn and everything. So that went pretty well. And 7 winter weather events, mainly salt runs. We had one decent plowing one, but all just little piddly ones. And then parks, vehicle equipment repairs, tree cutting throughout the parks. Also, they came in for 6 events and they're working on ice rink. And then for me, worked on standard invoices, payroll permits, working on capital projects for 2025, getting calls made and organizing that. Worked with Pewaukee Fire Department on building maintenance needs. So just talking with Mark Hoppy over there, seeing what stuff needs to be replaced or looked at. And then just kind of getting my office set up just because my first full year going into it. So kind of looking how Joe organized his stuff from the previous year and just setting up stuff on the computer and learning that stuff. So yeah. So it's
What's an ECU?
Okay.
What's an ECU?
Oh, I was just gonna ask.
it's the computer though.
Oh, geez.
So it tells it to do
That was
everything.
cheap.
Yeah, trying a computer
Okay.
module.
Okay,
I don't have any.
that was my question too.
Jane?
Thank you for the pictures. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
really nice to see them.
Yeah, some of those are just of what we've done along the village hall here, and then, I believe the last two is at the archery range, for the new archery range for the park, that's where it's gonna be going, so we cleared all the brush around it and everything, so the guys at the park have been working at cleaning up all those twigs and everything, so we spent about a good 3 days at the park going along the trails and cutting all that for them, so I don't have to do it by hand, so kind of just focused on the village hall and at LCP there to do all that, so got a lot done for the week, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? I stopped in last month, met with DPW Director Nick, and everything looks really awesome over at the DPW. They're doing a good job
Thank you.
keeping everything clean. We talked about some future projects, and yeah, seems that he's doing a good job over there, and as well as staff.
Thank you.
That's all I got. On the agenda next would be utility district, and we'll start with comments.
All right, good evening. In your packets, my report. December flows for the lift stations for Janine, Plainview, and Willow Springs all basically remained in line with what we've seen historically and what we had seen the previous month. Basically, all of them averaged anywhere from 21 gallons per minute to 22 gallons per minute. So it was, like I say, everything remained in line on all three of those. Any questions on any of those three? Richmond School Lift Station. That had a total runtime for the month of 62.5 hours, or an average of about 1 hour per pump per day. The well reading for the month for the school was 46,500 gallons. For the month prior, it was 61,700. And then again, based on the invoice, the calculated sewer flow at Sussex showed to be 148,560. But again, it's billed off the well. December 13th, we met with Adam Landowski at the school to kind of go over some more of the roof drains with that plan that we put together. So we did that. Got all the roof drains tied in that were on the roof. There's a number of them that aren't included or shown on the plans that we do have. We did give Adam a copy of that plan. And then he shared with us that Horner Plumbing was scheduled to be on site on the 16th. We were out there on the 16th with Horner Plumbing to look at the roof drains. We were able to determine the direction that a number of them went. There's 5 of them more in the center portion of the building that we couldn't tell where they went. So the plan was to have Horner Plumbing come back and dye test those to make sure they weren't going to the lift station. They said they needed to order dye. We told them we could bring it down from our place. He said he'd be on vacation. And the next thing we knew, we got a phone call on December 23rd saying they got dye testing done. So we weren't invited for it, but he said there was no lift dye in any of the manholes or the lift station from the roof drains they dye tested. We ran down the next day just to see if there's any remnants in the lift station or manholes. We didn't find any. So at this point, what Horner's Plumbing is saying is that none of the roof drains drain into the sewer system. That being said, where these leave the building, you still have a tough time telling what they tie into and where the outfalls are.
Were they able to determine where they flowed to?
The 5 in the center, they didn't. They did not locate those. The ones on the edge, we were able to determine that those were heading out the building to I think one was to the west and then to the north, but the ones in the center, no. And we've gotten quotes from locating companies, at least one. They come in, they said it'd be $800 to locate where those would be going. A couple of the other locating companies told us they should work with a plumber, which obviously they have. I don't know, we got a little bit of pushback the last time we talked. I think the school is starting to waste money looking into this.
So again, the cost of what's going on there with the roof and everything else, it's just the school cost. It's not split with Lisbon, correct?
I mean,
None of us are touching it.
Did everybody hear the question? The question was, I'm assuming it's for purposes of split billing.
Right, it's not a split billing. I think the school should just have to pay for this because it's with their building, correct?
I would agree with that, yeah.
I mean,
I
obviously,
can't say that for certain.
if he escorts him, he's doing on our behalf,
Mm-hmm.
so. That's,
Well, I
I
think,
mean,
I agree with Linda, the school should be paying all these costs for
Exactly.
Horner.
right, but they're
Yeah,
not gonna pay for him.
Sure they will, because they need him out there for that
any
part of
work
it.
that's being done, it
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the fire station. There's only two things, so why
exactly.
wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they be absorbing all those costs? Because this is starting to run into real dollars. They've been working on this stuff for over a year, I think.
There's a little bit more to this yet. So they dye tested on the 23rd. Also on the 23rd, they took a picture of the well, the reading on the well. Just to see how much water is being used by school is closed. So they took a picture on the 23rd, then they took another picture when they came back on the 26th. The well showed that there was 2 gallons of water used. If you look in your packet, I have the well readings for Richmond School Lift Station in there. On Christmas, both pumps ran 0.6 hours that day each. And if they only use 2 gallons over the course of 3 or 4 days. You do the math, even at 25 gallons a minute, that comes up to like 1,800 gallons on Christmas Day alone.
Oh, my gosh.
Surprise, surprise.
So
Something's getting into that system.
and I also found some information, the plumber that installed the iron filter that was in there, they're claiming that iron filter only backwashes about 60 to 70 gallons per day. So that's not a huge contributor either.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The iron filter that they have,
Okay.
that backwashes each day.
Mhm.
And the plumber that installed it says they figured it's about 60 to 70 gallons per day.
Okay, thank you.
So it's coming from someplace.
Have we televised that, the sewer going to the lift station, from like the lift station to the school
Cool.
and the lift station to the fire station?
To the fire
It's
station,
enforcement.
no, that's force main coming from them.
Okay.
But from the lift station going up to the school and then through the school, that's been televised. Horner did that within the last,
We have a
Last
leak in that
year.
Wet well?
that's the reason we ran down there to see if we could see anything, but no, I guess at this point, we're taking Horner on their word that they were there. I mean, they called us, said they did it, nothing showed up in the lift station.
I think you need to talk to them, tell them it's mandatory. You have to be there.
Well, we did. I mean, we offered to bring the dye,
Yeah.
so.
What was the reason for the non-communication of the visit?
I don't know, and when they called Nick in my office, that's when Horner had mentioned, I think the school's starting to waste money trying to chase this down. That's where I feel like we're gonna start getting a little bit of pushback. Adam's getting a little bit. I don't wanna say shorter with us, but. Kind of making comments, he's busy too, but.
Hmm.
I don't know, that stood out that they only used 2 gallons of water for those couple days and the lift station ran each day.
Dan, doesn't the village have, that's the village's,
Water meter in the well, yeah.
can you get down to the? Do you have the old standard meters or do you have the newer,
That one is not that old, so it's,
are you able to get like the daily flows out of it? out
yeah,
of
that
your
can
system?
happen.
What if we request that from Sussex?
Thing is, they gotta have someone go out there and individually read it.
Oh, I didn't know if you had
No,
like
it's-
a
no,
cellular.
No, we're not set up to the extreme. Yeah.
The Sussex thing?
Yep.
Okay. Solves that issue. I mean, something that's continues to be
Mhm.
way out of whack.
So I'm thinking we want to throw a temporary flow meter in between the lift station and the school. That way we got a true number of what's coming out of the school.
Can it physically be done?
I think it should be done.
Yeah, we did that on Janine lift station.
was gonna
That's
say
that's
we
how we
did
knew
it,
the flow
yeah.
meter was bad.
Mhm. We did that.
Yeah, and okay, he
Can we,
runs.
can we coordinate something where we read the well meter and the flow
flow
meter
meter,
at the same
yep.
time?
Mhm.
Yeah, we could coordinate that with Sussex too. Whether we want to, if you guys could do daily readings like you brought up,
Right, we used to be able to, I know we,
or even if we did it once a week, over the course of a
Right.
couple of weeks.
all you can do is ask, I guess, it's.
We just have to make sure schools and
Well,
school
actually, you'd want
schedule's
to
so
do
crazy.
it both. To me, you'd want to do it both. You want to worry about school being in session, but then also find out when it's not in
The
session.
problem with Richmond is they use the gym up there in the building when school is not in session
Do
quite a
they?
bit.
Well, if we could figure out when it's not
Yeah,
scheduled.
I mean, we just gotta. Cause they got a heck of a basketball program that comes in from several schools and they use their, you go by there. Any given day of the week or night and that parking lot's got 10 cars in it. We just gotta. As you say, it's gotta be at the right time.
Or why not just have them, shut off the water line from the well, then go see if you still got flow coming out. And you know if it's coming from somewhere different than the water system. If we're thinking it's I and I, then we know for sure that it is I and it could be a broken water pipe somewhere underneath.
There are in the. Adjacent to the school building, to the east. Where the ball diamond is, and right next to that. In their benevolent wisdom, a number of years ago, they bought that lot,
Mhm.
which you can't do anything on because there's springs there, is
Yep.
what I'm getting at. There's springs in that whole thing and they come down from mountain shadows and in that thing. So if there's a strong possibility, there is I and it's coming in. Because it's coming from the ground.
Right,
And that runs, if you go up there probably today, you'll see water running in that lot.
And I thought you said that they had already televised that.
Yeah, I don't have it here, but they have a map of what Warner televised going through the school and they didn't see any. Defects in the pipe or signs of I coming through the school based on what they televised. That's not saying they got everything.
But we didn't witness the televising, correct?
I'm trying to remember, Joe, if we were out there when that happened.
Okay,
That
I
was-
just. curious. I'm
Trying to remember, they did it at one
I'm
point
trying-
last year.
I'm trying to, yeah, I remember when it was done, but I'm just trying to rule out. Things so we can narrow this down eventually.
Mhm.
Okay,
I mean, so that, like I say, that's one thing we could do, look at it with a flow meter, well readings and. I mean, my tech did say he agreed. Every time he's gone out there, even when no one's at the school, he opens the lift station and. The pipe's not running full or anything like that, but there's a source of water still coming out of their ladder.
And when we did that on Janine, we did find out that there was an issue with sus, So
That was, yeah, the flow meter was off. The flow
Mhm.
meter was bad.
So it was really worth doing.
Yeah.
I myself think we should do it.
But, if we can't find anything at the school, then. You got bad check bells, or we just getting flow coming back in the
That's
lift
right.
station, it's causing it to.
well, can you give us a fairly decent estimate of what that cost would be? And I think we should notify Richmond. So they know that they're gonna get billed for this instead of just, so we don't get stuck with the bill.
Yeah, I'll get a quote from McKay Shaw for the meter and you can talk to Sussex too, make sure you guys are on board.
And I think it would be a lot easier when you send us a bill. separate Richmond School only. You know, so you're the guy in the know on that, and then put it down what we need to share with them. You know, so I would like that, either a separate bill or on the same bill, but make it very clear.
I'm gonna need to get a copy of the agreement with Richmond School then, so I know. Mike always handled that,
Mhm.
but if the village has that and they wanna share it, yeah, I can break that on
Dan
invoices.
can get it for you.
Okay.
Anything else for Richmond School?
Do we wanna give them scope of what we want them to do and then let them choose who they wanna use to do it,
We
or?
kind of tried that in the beginning. We sent them a letter and told them what we wanted done, and they had the Horner Plumbing come in and start to televise it, and then it just kind of stalled from there. So I think we kind of been pushing a little bit to.
Just in light of some of the things that didn't happen this time, I would almost shy away from having them hire their own contractor.
Mhm. I agree with you, Jane.
I'm just thinking pushback, we're gonna get to have them pay for our. They're probably perspective.
But it's specifically for them.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure they don't. I can't tell you for years how much trouble we had. In fact, I had to go sit and talk to the principal a couple times. To get him to do something.
the principal was called to your office.
It's what?
And he was called to your office, you were called.
Were
to
you
the principal.
talking
No,
to Dennis Cruz?
No,
The guy that came after Dennis Cruz is a pretty good guy. I wouldn't rely upon Dennis Cruz.
maybe it was, it's been a long time. I'm trying to remember. But we had some hard issues with them.
Be Dennis Cruz.
Okay, and that's it.
Okay,
All right, nothing else in Richmond School. Water usage for the fire station for the month of December was up. It was 13,200 gallons for the month compared to November, which was 9,300.
well,
But I
that's
believe
not
that
surprising.
last
since
meeting
it's-
you said there's people staying there. now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kind of a new track for that, or record that we'll be watching.
Where do they fill their tankers from?
Or, yeah, from Richmond.
They do.
Oh, that's why.
Just so, eventually we had talked about redoing, well, we're gonna have to do I believe, an interim redo of the contract as far as the cost sharing until we get a gravity sewer up there, then it becomes a moot issue. Once we figure out, now that we got full-time staff at the fire station and once we get their Richmond schools issues worked out, to see if that 60/40 is still correct. And then when we get a gravity sewer up there someday, then it'll be a whole different issue.
So are you thinking that the bulk fill for the tankers are coming out of that same well reading?
Well, I don't know if it's just use numbers. If we get 100,000 gallons in a year through that pump station, then is it really, and if they're taking the flows off the well reading at the school, then if they're filling the tankers out of the well that's either at the firehouse or someplace else, then the stuff doesn't jive.
But I think the fire department could track their tanker loads.
They could do that, or I don't think there's a meter on that well in front of the fire station. I
Yeah,
doubt
there
it.
is.
That's what.
Yeah,
there
that's
is.
what Sussex
That's what
reads.
this reading is.
That's
Oh,
what,
there is.
Right.
that's how
And
we
then
get the flows for
again-
that.
That's your meter?
Yep.
Okay, well, then I feel better about that then. I just wanted,
Well,
we don't want to pay for sewage to go into the tankers. Okay. We'll figure that out down the road. Did you have something?
Can I just clarify something? In the past, it's been, I think it was before you on board though. There was that terrain that was in the kitchen was causing a lot of problems and stuff in the floor. And actually, the school paid for that because it was their building. So I'm just saying they have done that in the past for
Okay,
history.
okay.
It's only draining the kitchen at school.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the fire station well? Then Casey's well, flows for that went down just a little bit for the month of December at 16,269 compared to November, which was up 17,255. So again, that remains in line with what we've seen in December of 23. And then lastly, GIS system, we just finished up adding up the water main and water service information for Business Park East. And that would be it.
Is that still on that link?
Yeah, actually, I think, I gotta check. That link might not work anymore. We sent the new one to, I believe it would have went to Dan, otherwise Kathy just before she left. So if you find out it doesn't work,
Yeah, the old link doesn't work. They sent.
All right. we'll send you a new one right away tomorrow
23.
morning. Mark, we'll get it out to everybody.
You do a good job. Thank you.
Any questions for Uncle? They. We have account listed, but we don't have any business for that, correct?
Correct. He did not have a monthly report this month.
Well, he's not. He would only have one for December, correct? Because he's no longer doing it.
Correct.
Mhm.
And
So
that would have.
how are we
been for
gonna be
December.
handling this stuff going forward?
Yeah,
Has that been set up yet?
And we're still going through the transition with our, with Natasha.
Okay,
So I think let's get through the.
That's what I thought.
And then figure out how we want updates from the finance part of it. Maybe April or May, whatever.
that's what I was assuming was gonna happen.
If anything, I can get a general report and then just report on. Okay.
in the office, Dan, who did the bill? We got the bill in the mail. Who actually did the bill in the mail? And who actually pays the bills in the office?
Who does like accounts?
Uh-huh.
It's mixed between,
Natasha.
Natasha
For the
does it all?
utility?
well, I know Jasmine was going to start receiving those, but
Correct.
Natasha sent out all the bills. We're trying to get other staff involved, so they kind of puts less pressure. on Natasha.
Yeah.
The first quarter, she had to be the one to do it, she was doing all the other. Pulling all the documents into our accounting software,
Mhm.
working with Sergeant on all of the year-end financials. So
Okay.
we're hoping by quarter two, it's the other office staff involved in
Okay,
sending out the bill.
yeah,
receipt.
all right, thank you. I didn't know who in the office was doing it. Which one was?
And Natasha's taking the bulk of it.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
Unfinished business 6A, discussion necessary action to approve a policy for citizen requests related to speed, street sign and traffic control issues and recommendation of village board of state.
All right, so I went back and revised the draft policy that you all got a chance to look at last month. Dan and I coordinated a little bit back and forth on it, and it just made more sense to do one combined policy, so we ended up revamping that.
Mhm.
And that is what is included in your packets, along with a copy of the draft request form for in-person requests.
Will this be online once it's been approved then?
The paper form itself will not be, the policy will be.
Okay. Why is that decided?
Because there's a fill in the blank form on the website, so they don't need a paper form.
Okay, thank you.
You wanna just walk, I don't know if the committee is aware of the process. Can you just talk about the online portion that we are also approving with policies?
don't have that with me because that was a couple of months ago when you all looked at that.
Just the general, what they're gonna see on our website.
If you give me just a second, I can actually walk you all through it. Maybe. Okay, so up on the screen is Lisbon's website. See if I can remember how to do this. So the bubbles across the middle of the screen. We go to citizen requests. And then there are 3 different options. One of them is a fix-it form. Oh, it's gonna ask me to sign in. How am I logging in this computer? A fix-it form is for general inquiries. Those get routed to Nick. Stuff like a tree branch down on the road, stuff like that. Those have been going to your inbox, Nick, for what? 6-8 weeks already?
Yeah.
Something like that. General complaints, go to Nick as well, and then traffic enforcement goes to Captain Panis.
I know we asked this one time. I can't remember anything anymore. I'm assuming that talking to the county police department, they're fine, they've got enough information that they're gonna be provided to do what they need to do.
Yep, all of the information that is requested on the form
Yeah,
is what is on the form on the website, and they approved the form on the
okay,
website as
that's,
well.
I just wanna make,
Yep.
I know that we talked about, okay, that's fine.
Any suggestions or edits or anything else you guys want to see on there?
I think this is a vast improvement of
Mhm.
what we had before, which was essentially nothing. We spent a lot of time doing this back and forth, and we'll see, and I would say it's 6 months, once we get through summer, if we're working, but if the county's fine with it, because they're gonna be doing the work, and Nick's fine with it, and we'll see how it goes, and we have to tweak it a little bit, but I think this is gonna be great.
Mhm.
I think what the citizens will see is the process is gonna be quicker because as soon as they hit submit, it's already predetermined the routing that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then the correct department head's gonna get it automatically.
And in what cases would we as a committee ever see any of this stuff?
If either Nick or Captain Panis would refer something to committee. Because it's something that they feel like it should get moved forward. Hey, we've got a dangerous intersection here.
Yeah.
Maybe we need some signage. Or, yeah, speed limit issues.
But that's gonna come
yeah.
to the committee as opposed to going to the board.
Yep.
Okay,
And then if there are any instances where a citizen feels like they want to appeal the determination from Captain Panis or Nick, then they would submit a written request, which they would submit to Village Hall. We would forward that to Mark, and he would approve putting
Okay.
it on a committee
Okay.
agenda.
as long as we got a place to, that's fine.
Yep. And then if they want to approve, or if they want to appeal a committee decision, then they would do the same thing, and we would send it to the village president for village board.
One nice part about the policy too is it allows. So Nick's route is if he's not absolutely certain that he's applying the manual as written, or if he has
Mhm.
a concern about it, he has the latitude to bring it forward to committee and then look for us to make a determination.
My only concern is, and I think it'll, from what you just said, Elisa, is moving this along in a timely manner, that if isn't something solved either by DPW or by the sheriff's department, that most it should be then is a month lag to get it here. And then we're the end of the thing, correct? I'm just trying, people haven't had experience with this, people get grossly upset if they're not, they want something done like right away, but most of the lag of anything should be a month. After, if they don't like what either DPW or the county determines is right. Which I think is more than reasonable. I think that's pretty good, given it's a government process.
Yeah, and I think what you'll see is the predetermined responses are gonna be handled automatically. You know, if it's a speed request, the sheriff's department is gonna get notified, and they're gonna handle it in their daily operations rather
Right.
than waiting for a speed to concern to come back here to committee.
Right, that's what we're eliminating, at least a couple of months of. And then they gotta come here, then the captain's gotta come here and not waste their time, take their time and everything else. And the worst this should be, would be a month lag. If they don't like the automatic response. Because I know the sheriff's department is gonna act immediately, and I know that DPW is gonna act immediately, so.
Yep.
Trying to eliminate criticism. I think this is great. Do we need approval on this?
Yes.
Yes, yep, it would be a recommendation to village board for approval.
I'll make that motion to approve the traffic signage and management request policy as presented and forward to the village board for review and approval.
Motion made by Mr. Everly. Anyone second?
Second.
Second by trustee Beal. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion the board carries 5-0. 6B, discussion necessary action regarding quotes for 2025 sewer televising and recommendation to village board. Don, you want to introduce this one?
Yep, in your packet is an updated quote from Expeditors, as we discussed at last month's meeting. If you remember, they didn't include a cost for them to dispose of the waste from cleaning. His updated quote's a little confusing because his price is still the same. He still has all the same stuff mentioned, but he did add an asterisk there that says the dump fee would be $500 if the material's hauled off site and disposed of by the Expeditors. So if you add everything up that he's got there, plus the $500, his total cost would be $11,224.91, which still makes him lower than the other two.
That $500 doesn't, I assume they take it to Sussex, that includes Sussex's fees too?
That includes wherever they normally take their stuff, that includes it, yes.
The dump fee, okay. Does Sussex even accept this stuff?
Yeah, a lot of it, they gotta dewater it, so. And Sussex does not have a incline for that. A lot of times it's Waukesha.
Okay.
So I don't know. where they
Waukesha
take it
does
from.
have at least they used to have
Yeah,
a pit with a screen on it.
yeah.
Okay. I just don't wanna. If the $500 covers everything, then they did what they were asked.
How many times will they have to do that? When they do, is it like once or?
I think it's only once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank
Especially
you.
with as new as this sewers, there shouldn't be a lot coming out of that.
Okay, thank you.
So the only other additional cost than what's stated on here is if they're gonna get water from wherever, we're gonna get billed for the water. Cause they have it right in here.
Yeah, I thought we discussed that last month with Sussex.
So I don't know if they hook onto a hydrant and get a hydrant permit from. I don't know, from you guys or from Sussex or something, somebody's gonna get a bill for that water and for the hydrant rail, or for the meter rail. Or,
Usually it's a straight fee just for the gallons.
okay,
At least that's how we roll.
so just so everybody understands, that cost is not included in here.
And what might that cost to be?
Depends on
Depends how much water is needed.
I think it's gonna be nominal. I
Mhm.
don't think it'll be that much, but I would suggest that if you have permitting process to get to use
Yeah.
the,
It's a permitting process, but they're also, we go with a minimum is 1,000 gallons and it's $5 or something like that. It's not too crazy.
Yeah.
It
that
costs
would
more to
be
bill it than it does.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Oh.
Right,
If the Village of Lisbon would take out the permit from the Village of Sussex, then that allows the contractor to use it.
Right.
they're gonna, and that includes the meter rail?
Yep.
Okay. So just so everybody understands, there could be $100 charge in addition to these charges that are stated on here, so that we don't have to argue about that later.
I mean, it's filling up at our wastewater plant, but
Right.
basically it is. The meters there, everything's ready to roll that way.
Yeah,
And
fine.
pretty much doing that, filling out a form and
It's easier than going over to you guys.
It sounds like it's cheaper than coming to Pewaukee too,
Yes.
so.
You have to cross that line.
Got
Get a
that
permit.
radium
You
water
gotta
a
get
little
a
more
toll,
expensive.
the
Yeah.
toll gate, the inspector. Home security, everything, crossover.
So I would make a motion to approve the quote from the expediters for the 2025 sanitary sewer cleaning and televising, not to exceed $11,224.91.
Motion made by Jane. Anyone look in a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Plus. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 7A, new business, discussion necessary action regarding priorities and scope. Proposed sewer service area expansion.
Well, my name's on there, so I'll see what we talk about. I got a list of, questions, discussion points that, which we really request to be on the agenda. And as opposed to putting 10 different items on, I thought we just put a general item on. Conversation, anything regarding the scope of expanding the sewer for this area. Maybe not just limited to K, but all aspects. So that's why it's on there. And. Very big conversation.
Oh, sorry, there's a number of things we've got to do before we can start putting a hole in the ground, and. One of the things is, we have to decide. The areas that we're going to want to submit to sewer pack. I think that is the first thing that needs to be done. And should be. We need to decide that, and I don't know. If that includes. Discussion with the plan commission or not, because I'm looking at the land use plan, and I think this is the most current one that Full last did. There's a number of areas I think that should be included in addition to what we looked at a couple of times ago, which is the area around Richmond School. So that we do this all at once instead of piecemealing this over time. And some of these areas that I'm thinking of may require eventually change in the comp plan for the village, because if we go from one type of development and one density and it goes to a sewer density, it's going to change. Eventually, we'd have to do that at some point in time. But we've got the area that you mapped out the last time, Don, which is around Richmond School and west of Richmond School. There's the area on Richmond Road from Redford Hills west. That's the second area. There's, these are just areas I think should be included. The third area is the area from the Village of Sussex limits on 164 on the west side, going north all the way up to and probably crossing Plainview, which includes probably 2 or 3 major property owners. There's the area over on Town Line Road, which includes that multifamily area that we've been going around and around, back and forth for a couple of years. On the west side of Town Line Road, north of the railroad tracks. I don't know as if there is anything else I can think of. That's why I'm saying that, you know. Is there any other area that anybody can think of that should be included in this sewer service area amendment?
How about the Mountain Shadows area? There's
Well,
older homes in there.
well, eventually. I think it should go in with this, because eventually it's gonna need to be sewer.
Yep.
I just happened to notice, cause I live right down the street. Somebody's getting their septic system replaced right now. And Mountain Shadows. Soils are not conducive to onsite systems. So eventually it will happen.
Mhm.
I don't know what eventually means. And it'll probably end up being a grinder pump system just because the way that it is. The way Mountain Shadows is constructed. There's a number of homes up and through there, but it's gotta get done. I mean, eventually it's gonna have to be sewer.
Mhm.
I mean, it's gonna be. I believe it's gonna be less expensive to put in public sanitary sewer in Mountain Shadows than it is to keep onsite systems up over time. I mean, that's a big chunk. The rest of the area that we're talking about. We gotta be careful, as an example, if you start out on Lisbon Road on K. Right at the village of Sussex limits. By the business park, and you start heading west. There's vacant land on the north side of K, but on the south side, there's existing development.
Mhm.
Should that area be included? It's a question you gotta answer. There's homes and there's a couple of businesses on the south side, all the way up to. The subdivision up and through there. There's a piece that's there that's Ryan Park, that will probably not be connected. When Ryan Park ever gets developed, they'll probably put any type of building they're gonna have there way up on top, close to Pewaukee.
I just talked to the county about that, and there's nothing eminent
No,
there at all.
they're not. They don't have any money for Ryan Park. It's a dog park right now. And they're not. I talked to Kevin Brunner about the same thing about 2 months ago. Kevin took over parks. Long time. He used to work for, I know Kevin for years, but yeah, Ryan Park's not gonna happen for a zillion years and it won't be connected to the sewer anyway. It's gonna be, if it ever gets done, it'll be connected to the village or something up on top of the hill. Going west from there, we got the fire station. We have some homes on the corner of Lisbon Road and Richmond Road, that triangle there in the southeast corner of that intersection. There's a few existing homes in there. When you cross over to the west side of Lisbon Road and you follow K to the west, you go to the mapping that Don already previously done, how far we can go.
So part of what I'm concerned about, I thought when we talked with Sewer Pack, and I met with Sewer Pack on other issues, that one of the things they brought to our attention when was the last full out sewer service area plan done? And we had to be within a specific time frame before you could even think about doing amendments. And then there was also a restriction on how much land they would allow as an amendment. So I think to your point about taking this to Plan Commission or something other than this committee would be, who knows what eminent development is going to be crossing over. And then from that point, figuring out where are the priority areas for the municipality that will still fit in the amendment portion size that sewer pack will allow. Because we could, personally, I think we we should go and just assign sewer service areas to the entire community, but that doesn't sound like it's the right thing to do at this point in time, because it would be take too long to do that.
I understand. I think that's a valid point.
But I think if we could knock off whatever reasonable chunk that is for eminent development, do that as an amendment now, and then maybe start looking towards a phasing approach
Yeah.
in the future.
My experience is that this is a chicken and egg thing.
Yes, that's the
I
problem.
know for a fact that if you go up 164 from the village of Sussex limits, north of the railroad tracks, all the way up through Plainville, that's imminent. And the
Right.
reason it's imminent, Newman's had a sign out there for
Yeah.
crying out loud for 3 years.
And that
So
sewer's
that's-
been there
that's-
forever.
huh?
And the sewer crossing's been there for the last 30 years.
Yeah,
So,
and you get north of there, that property is all, the 99% of it is all owned by Genesee Aggregates.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be coming through the door any minute with their revised reclamation plan. The last time I talked to Heidi Johnson, who's a representative of the owner of all that property up there, they were supposed to have that done 4 months ago, but they were holding off on submitting that reclamation plan.
so I don't even care if you go anything west of 164 and look at that area first,
Yeah.
because I think that's, from my knowledge, that's where the primary development might occur, along with the those larger subdivisions that might need help
And-
someday. But I think to do it, and that's the conversation that needs to be
Right.
had at a plan commission level, so.
I mean, I think if we get a sewer, once we put the sewer in Lisbon Road, it's gonna be sized, and that's gonna be the biggest it's ever gonna be, and that's gonna dictate how much land is ever developed on sewer. You know that, we've been through this a zillion times. So I think that the stuff north and south of K, east and west of Richmond School is gonna happen. If we get sewer up and through there, I think that's why we need. I keep pushing the same point on, we need to have a conversation with some of the landowners up there about this, because I don't want them to hear about this at a public hearing for this sewer service area amendment. That's the first time you hear about it. We're gonna be knocked
my
upside
gosh.
the head,
You're right.
and rightfully so. There aren't that many large property owners that we're dealing with. There's development on the north side of K, west of the village of Sussex, that is imminent. It's coming. They've been in here to talk to staff. It hasn't got to plan commission yet, but it's coming. So that gets us all the way up to almost within a quarter mile of Richmond School. Now, if you put a sewer in there big enough to take that and Richmond School and the fire station and possibly Mountain Shadows, that makes that sewer big enough to take the other side of the road, and gravity dictates where that sewer is gonna go right in through there. And you can see the big vacant parcels on the north and south side of K, west of MD. And most, if not all of that, can be sewered by gravity. So that's what this is. It starts snowballing. These other little areas, like from Redford Hills West, we're talking 30 acres. If that isn't included right now, who cares? I mean, I don't think that's big a deal. We just approved, and it's under construction right now, a subdivision on the east side of Mary Hill, north of Richmond Road. That subdivision's going in right now.
Mhm.
It's gonna be done this spring. They're gonna be selling homes. That's Carrick's.
Mhm.
On the other side of the road, there's a vacant parcel over there, and I think it's 30 or 60 acres. That's what I'm talking about for Redford Hills, and whether or not that person who owns that is interested in that, other than the few houses west of Redford Hills. So that takes care of that area. This area up on Town Line has been talked about at Plan Commission for, I don't know, since I've been on the Plan Commission, which is like 3 years. But that's only a few lots. That's north of Willow Springs on the west side of Town Line Road. the bigger ones are the stuff around Richmond School, in my opinion, and the stuff from the village of Sussex all the way up through Plainville on the west side of the road.
So is this
I don't know what that
where
is.
this map came from? Cause
I
it's
don't know.
talking about what areas.
It
of the
appeared on
village-
my desk here.
The map that's on your desk tonight, that I just figured I'd send that along.
Okay,
So what that is, that's a map out of the last large amendment that was done.
okay.
So you can see the green areas, those are the areas back, and I want to say this was 2011, 12. The green areas are the areas that Lisbon added, or wanted to add at that time. So you can see the areas up along 164. You can see what's in along K, just around, Richmond School, a fire station right in that area. But this was the last map in the amendment with sewer packs, so this gives you an idea of what's in today.
Is
My
that
point.
green, is the green in?
In,
Well, see,
So that is
if
already where
you,
you're
this is
talking.
Plainview right here.
Right, but
We need
that's-
to get the north side of this thing and this rest of this down and through there.
But then this is done. I thought that was the other thing in question, if it was done before, but that's already there.
Well, this is, yeah, because I hadn't seen this before, but north of Plainview, west of 164, this area needs to be bigger.
Okay. But at
But
least you
we
know this
haven't
much is in
seen, the
there.
problem is, we haven't seen what the landowner is envisioning up there, and it's part of the reclamation plan.
But that's
'Cause-
where you go back to your,
Yeah, well, this says, probably says mineral and extraction.
It does,
Yeah, so that's gonna be changed.
just extract.
The reclamation plan, applications went out last week. So Heidi will be filling out that form and submitting. the
Beautiful.
reclamation Plan. And hopefully there's a change, we'll see it coming, and we can get that on file to Heidi.
Right.
Who's Heidi?
Heidi Johnson is the daughter of the owner of the company that owns all that land up there.
Okay.
It's Walter Nagy's daughter, Elaine Kraut. She and her husband and a number of LLCs and corporations own several hundred acres up there.
When
If
you
you go
say
to
up there, you're talking about Plainview Road over in that. way?
Plainview, north and
North
south
and
of
south.
Plainview,
Mhm,
from 164 all the way over to Lake 5 Road.
mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of land. There's also the former dump over there.
So that's the areas I'm looking at, and until we can decide which areas we want to send a sewer pack, that's what we gotta figure out.
Yeah.
And the question is, if we send this to sewer pack as a public works committee, is that appropriate, or should that be coming from the Public Works Committee, the Plan Commission, and the Village Board? I don't know the answer to that. I have seen it done in different ways in different communities over time. But we only get one chance to do this thing right, and I don't want to tick off sewer pack, and I don't want to tick off the Village Board, and I don't want to tick off the Plan Commission, so we gotta
Just from my
figure,
recollection of the meeting we had in November,
yeah,
I'm relying upon Jane's point that there's a certain amount we're gonna incorporate in the first plan that they would not require the entire
full update.
comprehensive full amendment,
right,
or I guess, full
Update.
right.
full update.
Full upgrade, and that would be done by the Village of Sussex, because that's, there was, they own the treatment plant. But this, we're talking a large area. And we can't, the problem is, not problem. When we put the first sewer in the ground over a Quick Trip by the business park, that gets sized one time. We get one chance to do this right. And we can't size it for an area bigger than what we send to sewer pack, because the DNR won't approve the sewer. So we have to make our best educated guess how big that sewer service area is gonna be, because once we get to Richmond School and on the west side, that's the end of the world. We can never change it again. Cause it's the top of the hill. And we, in order to increase that in the future, we'd have to start and relay all that. It's not gonna happen. It's too expensive. This is gonna be a significant project. This is gonna be $4 or $5 million plus.
Oh, to put the sewer in.
Yeah,
Not to,
And
not for the
who's all
planning
gonna pay
purposes.
for
No.
that?
huh?
And who's gonna pay for that?
Special
The
assessments.
users of, the landowners are gonna pay for it.
Right.
So. Maybe I sound like I'm talking in circles, but it's like. We gotta. Seriously think this thing through because we're setting. Going north to Plainview Road and north of Plainview Road. That's never gonna change. Whatever we size that pipe for, it's the biggest it's ever gonna be and it'll never service any more area than that. As it is, there's gonna be a pump station north of. Just north of the village of Sussex up in that hole up there that Newman's got.
I think when this initially came, or at least last meeting, we discussed 140 acres along K going up to Richmond School. And that was specific, Dr. Don, in that it's a shorter time frame to get that added to our sewer system and would not require any improvements from Sussex. The areas that Joe was talking about could take months or a year to narrow down what areas those are. We have to talk about the standard yet. We figure out what's happening with care. All these different things, and I think what Don wants to know, and I guess I'm curious too, is do we want to move forward with a smaller amendment that might only take a year while we're still trying to figure out what the rest of the amendment is? I don't know, because I was clear based on exactly why we want to do that 140 plus acres. I would assume there was a property owner that submitted some type of a concept plan just to the west of the Brown property. And maybe to tie it into the school. Is that something that that's a must or a need that we have to do, or can it wait potentially 3 to 4 years when we get everything done? So that
Well, did we have a formal meeting with anyone for that? No, so
that's what that's.
there's nothing formally submitted, so. If they're out there, we hear you.
Well, on the north side of K, west of the Sussex Business Park to Richmond School, part of the undeveloped land is actively under, what I was told is actively under strong, I have to cry, right there where you got that blue.
We know that's going to be coming. We have not heard what any conceptual review is going to be coming in. We know that there are developers interested in that farm. When? Could
But-
be a year, it could be 2 years.
But if
longer.
they knew that there was going to be, I don't know if they're aware that there most likely is gonna be gravity sanitary sewer in K on the south side. That's what it is. It's, I've been through this so many darn times. It's a chicken and egg thing. Well, I own that land right there on the other side of K. That big square that's on the south side of K where the they got the whatchamacallit sitting in the middle of it. That property owner may or may not, that's all owned by one property owner. He or she may not be thinking today of developing that, but they're told, hey, we're gonna have a sewer across the street and we actually have to get up there and that's the top of the hill. They go, aha. My property, which was $8,000 an acre for growing corn, is now worth a heck of a lot more. They may change their opinion,
You talking about that one?
Yeah.
huh?
I thought Don's initial map didn't reach that, so.
Yeah, it gets up and
Yeah,
gets
we cut
most
through
of
there,
that.
yeah.
Through the whole property?
Yeah, with
Yeah, I
proper
think we got
grading,
the
you can get
majority
that
of
whole
it.
parcel. And if you jump across the street to the parcel in the northwest corner of K and MD, no,
No.
way up in
Over.
the
Middle school.
northeast, northwest corner. right there.
This one here?
Yeah. See? That's why I'm saying. We may want to, when I say we, the village of Lisbon may want to have a conversation with, in that case, those two property owners. And there's another piece west of MD down there that's vacant right now. Right next to Arrowhead Heights, I think it's Arrowhead, or, yeah,
This one?
yeah. See, we've got three big property owners, somebody that owns three big in that area.
Well, and this one is connected to these.
Right, and only about half of that property is developable. The rest of it's all wetland and underwater and stuff. That's what I'm getting at. And we only get to size the pipe coming from the village of Sussex one time. So we either decide,
One of the questions, not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question off of that. You know, James was saying, what happens if we split it in two? Is the DNR gonna approve a large oversized pipe for a small project?
No.
Know what's gonna be going there?
no, because they're gonna say, when you do the plans, you submit them to sewer pack, they say, yeah, it's according to the plan that they did it, then it goes to DNR, DNR says, okay, it's in the sewer service area, then we'll deal with the arithmetic of the sewer design and stuff like that. If all of a sudden you say, well, wait, you're sizing this for an area that's this big, but your approved area is only this big, we're not gonna let you put in a 15-inch sewer, you can only put in an 8-inch sewer. Now you're dead.
But you know, you think about it, so I would think we would want to do that whole corridor, plan for that entire corridor. Save the rest of it for another amendment, or we could sneak it in, because these areas are already planned. If you sneak in the rest of the reclamation of the quarry, it may be enough, sized enough, you could get those in.
Right,
But so to what you're talking about, going for the village to talk to a property owner, I understand maybe, but you are putting together a planning document. It's, to me, it's no different than if you are working with your plan commission on a zoning, on how you're gonna zone this property. You don't necessarily go to a property owner to say, hey, do you want to put residential in here? You can put business. That's kind of a planning thing. So, I appreciate wanting to look out for the property owners, but I think you would be very short-sighted to just go strictly on what a property owner is gonna tell you today. Because you could have a property owner that says, nope, I'm gonna build my house in the middle of this farm field. He dies and his kids are gonna sell everything off and wanna develop it. So you can't just go specifically a snapshot in time when you're doing these things.
I understand. I agree with you wholeheartedly. All I'm saying is that pick one of those at random and say, if they knew, because one of the things that we're gonna have to provide sewer pack with is our anticipated density of each of that.
Right.
So we're gonna have, and I personally like being closer to what's gonna be there. Maybe those 2 or 3 property owners in that case have an idea or can come up with an idea of what they would like to have in that area.
I don't know if you really need to do that with the property owner. I think the village itself, with your planning, should know what density you would allow in there with a sanitary sewer. You're gonna have a different answer if you have sanitary sewer available than if you want everybody on a well and septic.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't wanna know one person.
Right.
And some of that area is already in the right classification. I think the only one that might change would be the one north of K. At the
I think what
intersection of
we need that to do is just go to the plan commission and confirm what they want to do so that Don can size the pipe. And then we go through the whole sewer pack effort based on what the plan commission and the village board concur.
I think it's got to involve the plan commission,
Yes.
in my opinion. I mean, that's what they get paid for. All our 10 cents a year.
Yeah.
Plus tips. We get tips too. I think I just don't want to do that myopically with this committee
Yeah, I don't
without
think you can.
involving them.
Sure, I mean, one thought is we could hold a joint meeting and
on this specific item.
have these two committees consider together. The commission and the committee.
Right.
We're both like,
As long as the village board is happy with that, God knows we gotta keep them happy.
Or,
Don't
and the
consider-
village
I mean-
board. All three of us maybe.
you're gonna have. If you
Well,
hold a
you're
joint
gonna have
meeting, you're gonna
majority
have
there.
4 people.
That's. No, we're gonna hit one,
You're
two,
gonna have
yeah,
myself,
yeah,
Linda,
right,
Yeah.
the president and
and
one other
Becky and
trustee.
Joe.
So, I mean, you.
Can
You right
we-
there,
is it-
you're gonna have a good gauge of where the village
Yeah.
board stands based off. the
If
discussion.
we could possibly do that before April. If you can make the magic happen, I mean, that's another thing that we gotta deal with.
Mhm.
We could try to do the next utility meeting by the planning. Or vice versa. Like with Utilities, the planning commission, but that probably would be for March. for planning.
And it would have to
Yeah.
be held over at the
The
community room
firehouse,
just
yeah,
for
yeah.
space.
If, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I'm just trying to make sure we got everybody's marching in sync to this whole thing. And by that time, we may have a better sense for the timing and what somebody thinks is gonna happen up near Plainview and when.
So
Because Newman's gonna happen along 164.
He's gonna keep trying.
Well, he hasn't presented anything other than put a sign up by the road for 3 years.
Well, I think from, at least from a staff perspective, I'm sure. From a perspective, we need a starting point, a starting discussion to actually get things moving, otherwise we're gonna sit here for a year and keep talking and talking, so I think.
And to that point, though, that's already been identified and approved in the plan. That area, so. It would just take I think it would just looking at the map real quickly. I mean, there would be a land use change.
For, you're talking about around Richmond School?
No, the property you just identified on one
For
sixty-four.
Newman on 164.
Okay, but here's the question I have. Newman walks in the door tomorrow. Not trying to pick on Newman. They've got the land on the west side of 164, north of the village of Sussex, and they walk in staff next month and they say, we want to develop this right now. They already know that there's a pump station that's got to go in up there. Are they, and they come in with a 2-acre lot subdivision up there. Is that what we want?
Depends on what they're
Well,
willing to.
That's exactly, I mean, you've been through this before. A lot of people around this table have been through this before. I'm just concerned about a timing issue. Because what they put in up there dictates what happens north of them.
Well,
I-
I think because it's already been approved on this sewer use plan. That they should be forced to go in on sanitary sewer. Because it's there, it's planned for,
Right,
the sewer is there for them
and I
to
think
use.
that that's what they're anticipating, but I don't know that for a fact, but I know that talking to others. That
Well, I
they
know he's
that
gonna
there's-
try and do
There's
it
a pump
without it.
station's gotta go in up there,
So I think what you're saying is you don't want them to be the end of the line,
right,
but right now they are. There's no future plan
Mhm.
north of there.
north of there. But we
Other
don't,
than
we don't,
what's-
we aren't gonna know that until the landowner submits a reclamation plan,
I know,
so.
that's what I'm
What,
getting at.
and what happens if they don't?
Well,
You still
I-
have a
they
developable
will.
land.
They have to because they're 2 years behind on when they're supposed to update that thing. I know it's coming from them.
Can we build sewer in the areas where Newman owns and then do or do a plan with sewer pack after or during the construction of that subdivision? I mean, does it have to all be in the area in order for us to continue expanding once?
Well, you can't build or design or build that pump station without knowing what's gonna feed into it and that. What's gonna happen up on Plainview. That's what the chicken and egg comes.
We partially know what feeds into it because the property south of Plainview, west of 164 has already been identified in the plan,
Right,
so. We know there is something above it that's already planned
Yeah.
for, but.
That force main's already in the ground too, so that
Right.
No.
they've planned for it, so.
But we
So
can't
I-
build this spec, let's say we were gonna consider Genesee aggregate, the whole area to potentially be in the sewer district, we can't build up to spec the system that goes in to Newman or whoever's
Right.
develops that area until we know that that has been added to the sewer.
I think we need to get a sense of what they're planning on that and the timing. Their Genesee Aggregate and their various companies own most of that land up and through there. And they may not wish to develop that for 30 years because they want to keep mining it. There's still aggregate coming out, there's still sand and gravel coming out of there, and there's sand and gravel coming into it because they're reclaiming stuff up and through there. That's why if we had the plan from them of what they wanted to do eventually between now and the end of the world, it'd give us a better sense of how big we want to ask sewer pack. But it sounds like from what you're saying, Dan, that they're ready to submit that stuff like really soon.
Well, they have to submit it. So I require an updated plan. If there are no updates, they'll submit a plan that they've already submitted.
Yeah, and what they have, it's not, they have to submit a new one, because the one they had before, which I've got a copy of, because I do their quarter or their yearly inspections, it doesn't work. It requires moving Plainview Road. They tried that, what, 10 years ago, and it's never gonna work. So they don't have anything right now. And on top of that, when they submitted it last time, it was reviewed and approved by the county. Well, the county's out of it. Now we control our destiny. So I think that if the stars were aligned right, we'd have some initial information from them prior to this meeting in March.
Well, they're due to me in a month. So we'll know more.
Okay, but we'll know prior to March.
Yeah.
Okay,
I may be off thinking, but I thought Newman came to the town board or the planning twice with plans to do. And it was revamped the second time and they still wasn't good, the Newman, because they had
not since I've been on the plan.
Which development?
for 164 west of, that they
Would I have
had.
to sign up?
Yeah, they bought all that acreage over there.
Right,
And then they're gonna sit on it, but there was like single family homes, there was, like
it was
condos.
like Vista Run.
It was in concept,
Yeah. it was
Yeah.
conceptual, yeah.
Okay, so 2 times, they changed it around.
but it wasn't presented to the planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah, no
just in
applications
concept
were submitted.
Okay, because I'm thinking, I
At
know that
least
they
it
had
hasn't
plans.
been, I haven't seen it in the plan commission. I've been on there, I think, 3 years.
Okay,
You're right.
but it was just, it
Yeah,
wasn't,
I thought it was before that. And it was probably just, well, what if we did this and then
Yeah.
they have a sign up there that says, why not you want?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like if we could have a joint meeting of this committee and the plan commission in March, if you're able to perform a miracle, Dan.
I guess just understanding the workload of both, I would offer that it be on our date. I mean, we could always schedule a date, but they already have enough workload at their meetings. So.
Plan commission? Well,
I would agree.
Wednesday, we don't have much, but probably coming up in
I know what
February,
February and March look like and
Yeah.
they're bigger meetings.
we can get enough.
Can we keep it at 5 o'clock though?
Yeah,
I think
'Cause
that's
I-
good.
If you can, I think
don't
you're gonna have a problem
know.
getting plan commission there.
Yeah. We'll work on
we can discuss,
Mr. Green will perform a miracle. And he'll walk on water and see if
yeah,
Galilee.
you can pull the members. We can make it work.
Like he's in Malaysia. Yeah,
Yeah,
to me,
actually,
that's the first,
I don't think she's available in March, but I don't want to speak for her.
I mean, that takes care of that. To me, that's the biggest chunk we gotta get, the first hurdle we gotta get over. But meanwhile, there's a number of administrative things that we have to do. We have to define some things. As an example, sewer availability. If there's a sewer out in the street and I own a chunk of property and I have a house on it, when is sewer considered available? Which requires me to hook up to it. We have to define that. Mr. Macy has got some great examples. Cause he saved me the trouble of pulling them out of what the definition of sewer availability. It's. The DNR says local municipalities have control over defining what sewer availability is. And if you look at all the municipalities. Probably most of them in Waukesha County, every one of them's got a little bit different definition. Is it within 500 feet of my house? Is it up to my property that I own? We have to define that, because in order to determine. Who's sewered and not sewered.
It used to be with the town that if it went over your property line, you got sewer, you have 1 year to hook up. And those no longer effective from what I understand,
Well,
because we're a village.
yeah, but it doesn't, what happened before is.
Exactly.
But as an example.
I agree with you.
So, one municipality has got a ordinance that says, look. If I run past your 60 acres with a sewer. And it's undeveloped, you're growing corn out there. You have to, we can defer your assessment, but you're gonna pay the interest, but you're not gonna pay the principal. And in that municipality, they use the figure of 12 years.
Mhm.
Every municipality's got something different. We have to define that,
Right.
because we can't figure out how we're gonna pay for this thing until we know where the money's coming from.
Exactly.
It's those type of administrative things. I gave some topics to Dan that I think that we need to do, and we can knock those off in the next 6 months, I think, and get those done. We have to do our homework to get this stuff done.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, while all this other stuff is happening with sewer pack, we can get all our homework done. And I think that's what we need to work on.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
So it's up to you, Mr. Chairman, what we put on the agenda. And
I guess I'll put it back to Dan, and I think the sewer service code is. Waiting to be reviewed by planning commission. I think that's where we sit with that.
the sewer ordinance was almost done, and it was getting ready to be sent to the codifiers. But these things that we're talking about should really be in there. So if it hasn't done, we could just save some few bucks and clean up these things that we have.
Wait.
I think the latest one was the codifier.
Okay,
So if we're gonna make changes, we'll probably have to make them after the fact, because I'm waiting to hear back.
okay, but at least we'll have a clean document to work from.
We'll have time.
Yeah. So we got plenty of homework to do in the next 6 months or so.
Feel like we said the same thing we started almost 2 years ago.
Well,
Mhm.
well, if Nick can keep those darn trees cut down, we don't have to deal with him all. We can just deal with sewer. It's all his fault. He's got broad shoulders and
I'm
he's.
sure he doesn't want to show up here every month, so if you want to pass him by once.
Well, this is the highlight of the sofa. So I told my kids sewer's my bread and butter, you know, it's just.
I mean,
the way it
as
is.
far as Kunkel goes, do we need to provide you with more specific scope that we're looking for?
No, I just think decisions have to be made by the village. Which direction we're going, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and I agree having a joint meeting with plan commission is the way to go, and. Rather than this committee making a decision, then plan commission look at it and then, you know. Do one joint and make
Could
sure we're all
you,
headed down the right path.
could you verify with sewer pack again, what their maximum acreage or whatever for those amendments is? Cause I can't remember what specifically that was.
I can double check with Joel again, but his basic one is if we looked at 150 acres, which was that whole area going up to Richmond School. He was confident that could be done by an amendment.
Okay,
And then my next question to him was if we went with the 750 acres, which was that whole area. He was confident that would require a full update.
One of the things we don't know, cause we haven't talked formally with Sussex. Sussex, remember, this is an amendment to Sussex's plan, not ours. So Sussex may have other areas that they want to expand to. So A plus B may be more than C, so regardless of what we do, we may, it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be. It may push to be a full plan amendment for the treatment plan and their whole service area, which includes areas much bigger than the village of Lisbon.
And they're growing.
Can staff reach out and coordinate that question to them?
It's Sussex as far as they,
Yeah, I guess I don't know what they're,
If you remember when Joel brought up that Menominee Falls was also looking at doing an amendment,
right.
I did speak to Judy after that meeting and she had told me she had already talked to Sewer Pack. She told them she felt Menominee Falls should be able to be done by an amendment. And that if we looked at doing this, she felt that should be an amendment too. She didn't really look forward to doing a full update or felt that a full update, that Sussex was ready for a full update.
But at a certain point, somebody's gonna trigger it that she's.
Sure.
gonna
Yes,
have that
right,
choice.
Right.
And it doesn't matter, it's gonna be, it's not a magic number of 175.43 acres, it's gonna be DNR and sewer pack saying,
Yep.
time out. You just press the button, we gotta do this whole thing. Eventually, a whole thing's gotta get done. I can understand Judy's opinion from
Right.
what you say. Nobody likes to do one of those things, cause it takes time and it takes money. But we'd be paying our share of, actually be cheaper probably for us if they did a full amendment than if they did pieces.
If they just did it for all these these communities surrounding them, it would be half the effort, because you're already pulling out.
Right,
everything you
exactly.
need.
And sewer pack would love it because even though it took them longer, they still gotta do the environmental analysis and all the rest of the stuff, and you're absolutely right. And at the end of the day, it's like everybody lines up for the shot. Nobody wants to get the shot, but after it's done, it's over with. They're not that bad. I've done enough of them.
Any more questions pertaining?
They don't hurt. They just cause you pain once in a while.
Questions or discussion relating to 7A otherwise?
No.
Do we have any action other than what's been stated? No.
Yep.
Okay, is that 8 items to be placed on future agenda?
Don, I know you said you were looking at possibly February for the business park flow meter quotes.
Yep, for that
So look
email
at
I
that.
sent you guys for We Energies, I should have it for that meeting.
Hopefully they've kept us waiting long enough.
That's We
They're
Energies.
doing that
But,
instead of
yep,
fixing
exactly.
sewer.
Yeah.
The pipe goes-
Um,
And
as far
I'll
as-
bring back all 3 to that meeting, just so we have them.
Perfect. Do we have anything else from anyone for future meetings? I don't have anything else coming back from previous meetings.
Whatever you wanna start putting on the agenda for this.
I thought we had a table from last meeting that we didn't put on this one. Was that just the electrical?
Well, it was the sewer service area amendment stuff.
Yeah.
The business park east flow meter and then the policy.
Yeah, I think the only other one was the We Energies quote.
If anyone thinks of anything outside the meeting, you're always welcome to forward that.
Go, I think I'll start putting on each sewer district items after we have the joint meeting. And I think the first thing will probably be the code.
Okay. Whatever you wanna do.
Hearing none other,
I'm
I'll
just here for the beer.
hearing none. Hearing none other, I'll move for a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Made by Ms. Beal, seconded by Mr. Everly, out loud? Yes?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, we've been
5
talking.
oh,
about
we
that
can
for-
put that 6:29.
I think we have a
It's 6:30.
meeting tonight.
Well, I'm trying to earn my huge pay.